A dangerous game, police tell us England fans could have been killed by Russian supporters in France.
These tables were going over and chairs and fights going off all over the place, and people on the ground who were getting kicked by groups of 5 and 6 males. And as I said previously, the severity and the barbarity of it was quite shocking.
Republicans at war, Donald Trump comes out fighting after Paul Ryan withdraws his support. Assault on Aleppo, at least 25 people are killed in the heaviest bombardment in days. And Tinder date death in Australian court. Here's how a drunken night out turned into tragedy. Welcome to World News. Specialist police officers have told Sky News they believed England fans would be killed by Russian hooligans at the Euro 2016 football tournament in France. In first-hand accounts of some of the most extreme and brutal violence they've ever witnessed, they said one Russian gang used military tactics against England supporters. Our sports correspondent Paul Kelso has this exclusive report and a warning. It does include pictures of violent clashes from the very start.
It was almost like some sort of herd of wildebeest sort of rampaging through these tables. Were going over in chairs and fights going off all over the place, and people on the ground who were getting kicked by groups of 5 and 6 males. And as I said previously, the severity and the barbarity of it was quite shocking.
Paul Kelso, Sky News.
Donald Trump has rounded on America's most senior elected Republican politician who'd said he could no longer defend Mr. Trump as the party's presidential candidate. In a series of tweets, he describes Speaker of the House Paul Ryan as a weak leader, later adding, "It's so nice that the shackles have been taken off me and I can now fight for America the way I want to." Meanwhile, Mr. Trump has continued his attack on his Democratic rival Hillary Clinton in a new campaign video.
Our next president faces daunting challenges in a dangerous world.
Donald Trump, and I approve this message.
And while the gloves are off for Donald Trump, the White House has also come out fighting with a strong attack on the Republican candidate. President Obama has branded Mr. Trump repugnant following the leak of a video which showed him boasting about groping women. Our US correspondent Cordelia Lynch has more now from Washington.
The most direct response from President Obama that we've heard so far, the White House press spokesman Josh Earnest speaking to reporters aboard Air Force Ones, people out to encourage people to vote. So you could suggest that it's biting the hand that feeds Donald Trump. He's certainly playing to his base, but at this point in the race, he obviously needs to get those undecided and reluctant voters on side.
Cordelia Lynch reporting there from Washington. Now, Russian warplanes have resumed airstrikes on Aleppo in Syria in what witnesses say is the heaviest assault in days. 5 children are among at least 25 people reported dead. Both sides in the conflict are blaming the other for the continuing bombardment. Elizabeth Palmer of CBS News sent this update from inside the besieged city.
To get to the front line in Aleppo, you go right downtown to where buildings are draped with sniper shields. Both the United Nations and Doctors Without Borders are pushing for a ceasefire, even a temporary one, to allow seriously wounded people to be evacuated from besieged Aleppo. But so far, the Syrians and the Russians are saying no. Elizabeth Palmer, CBS News for Sky News, Aleppo.
The UK's Foreign Secretary is threatening to ignite a new diplomatic row with Moscow after calling for demonstrations outside the Russian embassy in London in protest at the bombing of Aleppo. Boris Johnson told the House of Commons that Russia is in danger of becoming a pariah nation and said those responsible for attacks on hospitals and a humanitarian convoy should be pursued as war criminals. Our correspondent Alistair Bunkle has more.
This is Aleppo, a city which is crumbling as the most powerful countries in the world bicker. A day of diplomatic sniping, well-meaning political hand-wringing, and death. Another 14 people were killed in Aleppo. There is no end in sight. Alistair Bunkle, Sky News, Westminster.
The court in Australia has heard a recording of a woman pleading with her Tinder date to be allowed to leave his apartment. before she fell 14 floors from the balcony and died. Warriana Wright met Gable Tosti for the first time on the night of her death. He denies pushing her off the balcony after the row, as Sky's Harvey Biggs reports.
It was a drunken night out, which later turned sour. These pictures taken of Warriana Wright and Gable Tosti just moments before she fell from his balcony. The suggestion is that Tosti is responsible for Warriana's death because he frightened her. He denies any wrongdoing and insists he was merely protecting himself. The trial continues. Harvey Biggs, Sky News.
Police in Texas have tasered a man as he tried to escape across an interstate highway. Authorities say the suspect drove in the wrong direction before abandoning his vehicle in a service lane and trying to cross the road on foot. A pursuing officer then fired his stun gun at the man after he jumped a lane divider. The reason for the chase hasn't yet been revealed. The Samsung Galaxy Note 7 has been permanently discontinued following reports of a series of battery fires in both new and replacement handsets. In an unprecedented move, Samsung has urged all owners to shut the phones off. The South Korean company's announcement saw billions of dollars wiped off its value on the stock markets. Our technology correspondent Tom Cheshire has more.
It's all gone to pieces for Samsung. The South Korean technology giant pulling the Note 7 is an effort to stop the trouble spreading, both technically in their other phones, but also for the rest of their brand. Tom Cheshire, Sky News.
Rob Stewart says he's on cloud nine after receiving a knighthood from the Duke of Cambridge at Buckingham Palace. The 71-year-old was awarded the honour for his services to music and charity. Sir Rod said Prince William congratulated him on his long career, and he replied that he wished his parents could have been there to see him collect it. This is Sky World News coming up.
In the hammer after testing positive for steroids. It's more on Sky Sports News HQ. We're back in the next hour.
This is Sky News coming up. Another look at the morning's papers in our press preview. Now, just to bring you these pictures now from Panama City, where Donald Trump is speaking at a rally there. Let's listen in now.
Come on. Thank you. Could you move over, please? We want the people to be able to see. We all love each other. We want room, right? Well, it's great to